The ship was falling. Kesrith gripped the controls with his clawed hands, trying to keep them steady. Beside him, Valtor worked frantically on the emergency systems. Neither dragon spoke. They had been warriors for 3,000 years. They knew when death was coming. The enemy missiles had torn through their shields like paper. Illegal weapons banned by 7 different treaties. The Krill Empire did not care about rules anymore. The electromagnetic pulse had fried every system in their patrol ship. Now they were just a metal box falling toward the ice planet below. "Brace for impact," Kesrith said. His voice was calm. A warrior did not panic even at the end. The ship hit the frozen ground of Vorath 9 with a sound like thunder. Metal screamed. The world spun. Then everything went dark. When Kesrith opened his eyes, pain filled his body. His right wing was crushed under a piece of the ship. He could feel the bones shattered into pieces. His left leg was bent at a wrong angle. Worse, his internal furnace was failing. Dragons carried biological fusion cores inside their chests. These cores kept them warm and gave them strength. His core was flickering like a dying fire. "Valtor," he called out. "Here." The voice came from somewhere in the wreckage. "I cannot move. My back. Something is wrong with my back." Kesrith tried to pull himself free. The twisted metal had wrapped around him like chains. Every movement sent fresh waves of pain through his body. The cold was already seeping in. Vorath 9 was one of the coldest planets in the known galaxy. Without their internal heat working properly, even dragons could freeze to death. He stopped struggling. It was useless. They were trapped. "The beacon?" Valtor asked. Kesrith looked at the communication panel. It was smashed. Sparks flickered from the broken circuits. Destroyed, silence fell between them. Outside wind howled across the ice. The temperature display on Kesrith's suit read -130 degrees. The suit heater was already failing. "Well," Valtor said after a long moment, "this is not how I imagined the end." Kesrith made a sound that might have been a laugh. "No, I thought we would die in battle. With honor. Not frozen on this worthless rock. They had fought in 100 wars. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had survived things that would kill most beings instantly. Now they would die because of simple cold and bad luck. Time became strange. Hours passed, maybe days. The cold made everything slow. Kesrith's thoughts drifted like snow in the wind. He thought about his long life. The battles he had won, the enemies he had defeated, the worlds he had seen. "Do you remember the humans?" Valtor asked suddenly. His voice was weak. "The primates? Yes, strange little creatures. They have an outpost here. 40 kilometers away," Kesrith remembered. "A small research station. Humans studying the ice storms or some such thing. What could they do? They are fragile, weak, they live such short lives." "True," Valtor agreed. "I once saw a human break its arm just falling down. They break so easily, they have no scales, no claws, no fire. How such a species survives is a mystery." "They build things," Valtor said. "Tools, machines, they are clever in their own way." "Clever does not matter out here." Kesrith's eyes were closing again. "Nothing matters out here." The wind grew louder. A storm was building. Kesrith could hear it approaching like a living thing. The temperature dropped further. His core was barely glowing now. Soon it would go out completely. Then the cold would take him. He thought about the stars, all those worlds he would never see again. He thought about his clan, far away in the warm halls of the Dragon Empire. Would they even know how he died? Would they care? Dragons were proud. They were strong. They ruled dozens of star systems. But pride and strength meant nothing when you were dying alone on a frozen planet. "Kesrith," Valtor whispered, "I am glad I did not die alone." "As am I, old friend." They had served together for 1,000 years. They had saved each other's lives more times than either could count. If death had to come, at least it came to them together. The storm hit with full force. The wreckage around them groaned and shook. Ice began forming on every surface. Kesrith felt it forming on his scales. The cold was inside him now. His hearts were slowing. Each beat took longer than the last. He closed his eyes. Perhaps dying in your sleep was not such a bad way to go. Better than burning or drowning or being torn apart. Just the cold. Just the sleep. Just the dark. His last thought was of home. The warm volcanic mountains where dragons basked in the heat. He would never feel that warmth again. The darkness pulled him down. Down into silence. Down into peace. Somewhere far away, something moved in the storm. A small shape, struggling through the wind and ice, but Kesarith did not see it. He was already gone, drifting in the space between life and death where dreams and memories become one. The cold was complete now, total, final, or so he thought. The first thing Kesarith noticed was warmth. Just a tiny amount, but it was there. His eyes opened slowly. Everything was blurry. Was this death? Was this what came after? Then pain crashed into him like a wave. His body screamed. No, he was still alive. Death would not hurt this much, Valtor. His voice was barely a whisper. I am here. Valtor sounded surprised. I thought we were dead. Through the haze, Kesarith saw movement. Something was out there in the storm. A shape, small, moving toward them. Do you see that? He asked. Yes, what is it? The shape came closer. It was fighting against the wind. The storm was worse now. Much worse. Wind speeds that would tear apart most buildings. Cold that would freeze flesh in seconds. Nothing should be out in this. Nothing could survive, but the shape kept coming. As it got closer, Kesarith's eyes focused. His breath caught. It was wearing a thick suit with a helmet. The body shape was unmistakable. 2 arms, 2 legs. A small frame. It's a human, Valtor whispered in disbelief. The human reached the wreckage. Even through the suit, Kesarith could see it was struggling. The wind tried to push it away. Ice was forming on the suit. But the human kept moving forward. It came right up to them. The helmet visor was covered in frost. A gloved hand wiped it clear. Inside, Kesarith saw a face, female, dark eyes, skin the color of bronze, frost on her eyebrows. The human touched something on her wrist. A device activated. A bubble of shimmering energy formed around them. The wind stopped. The temperature inside the bubble rose. Not warm, but warmer. Enough to stop the ice from forming. The human was speaking. Her voice came through a speaker in her suit. She was recording something. This is Dr. Sarah Chen. I have located the crash site. 2 xenobiological entities. Species appears to be Draconis. Both are critically wounded. Vital signs are weak but present. Beginning emergency treatment. She pulled a pack off her back and opened it. Kesarith tried to speak. His throat was so dry. Human, leave, we are beyond help. The human looked at him. Those strange primate eyes met his dragon ones. There was something in her gaze, determination, stubbornness. She shook her head. Nobody dies on my watch, she said. Her voice was firm. Not today. She started pulling things from her pack. Medical equipment. Tools. Things that looked far too small for beings the size of dragons. She knelt beside Kesarith. Her hands were steady as she examined his wounds. Wing fractures. Multiple. Leg broken in 3 places. Internal temperature critical. She was talking to herself as much as to them. Core function at 12%. This is bad. This is really bad. Human, Valtor said. Why are you here? She did not look up from her work. I detected your crash signature 3 days ago. Came as soon as I could. 3 days. Kesarith could not believe it. How far? 40 kilometers. You walked 40 kilometers in this. Valtor's voice was shocked. Technically, I walked about 20. Then the storm hit and I had to crawl the rest. She said it like it was normal, like it was nothing. She pulled out a device and scanned Kesarith's chest. The device beeped. She frowned. Your fusion core is dying. If it goes out completely, you will freeze from the inside. I need to stabilize it, that is. Not possible, Kesarith said. Dragon cores are too complex. Even our own doctors need special facilities. Sarah looked at him again. One eyebrow raised. I am not a dragon doctor, but I am a doctor, and I'm very stubborn. She pulled out more equipment. Some of it Kesarith recognized. Some was completely alien to him. She worked with quick, efficient movements. Her hands never stopped moving. This will hurt, she warned. Then she pressed something against his chest. Fire shot through him. He roared. The pain was incredible, but underneath the pain he felt something else. His core flickered, then glowed, just a little brighter. There, Sarah said with satisfaction. Temporary boost. It will buy us time. She moved to Valtor next. The other dragon was in worse shape. His back was twisted wrong. Sarah examined him carefully. She was gentle despite the urgency. Spinal damage, she said quietly. I cannot fix this here. But I can keep you alive until we get real help. Real help? Valtor asked. What are you? Sarah smiled. It was a tired smile. I am a human who is very good at keeping people alive when they should be dead. Hours passed. Sarah worked without stopping. She used plasma cutters from her pack to cut away the metal trapping them. The cutters were small, meant for emergency ship repairs. Using them on the heavy wreckage was like using a knife to cut down a tree. But she did it anyway. Kesrith watched her. The human was tiny compared to them. She barely reached his shoulder even when he was lying down. Her suit was bulky and heavy. She had to be exhausted, but she never complained. Never stopped. Why? He finally asked. Sarah paused. She looked at him. Why what? Why are you doing this? Dragons and humans. We are not allies. We are barely neutral. Why risk your life? She was quiet for a moment. Then she went back to work. Because you are alive and you need help. That is enough reason. But you could die out here? Yes, she agreed. But if I did nothing, you would definitely die. I can live with the first option. Not the second. Kesrith did not understand. In all his 3,000 years, he had never met anyone like this. Dragons helped their clan, their family, maybe close friends. But strangers, aliens, that was unheard of. Sarah freed Kesrith's wing. The relief was immediate even though the wing was still broken. She wrapped it carefully with supports from her pack. Then she moved to his leg. The work was slow, careful, professional. You are a good doctor, Valtor said. Sarah laughed. It was a short, tired sound. I am an okay doctor having a really bad day. She finished with Kesrith and moved back to Valtor. She pulled out what looked like thermal blankets, thin sheets of metallic material. She began wrapping them around the dragons. These will help keep your core temperature stable, she explained. Not perfect, but better than nothing. Outside the energy bubble, the storm grew worse. The bubble flickered. How long will that shield last? Kesrith asked. Sarah checked her device. Few more hours, maybe. And then? She smiled again. That same tired, determined smile. Then we get creative. Sarah worked through the night. Kesrith tried to count the hours but lost track. Time became meaningless. There was only the human, moving in the dim light of her helmet lamp, always working, always checking on them. She gave them water from her supply. It was warm. They drank gratefully. Their throats had been so dry, she shared her food. Small nutrition bars that tasted strange but filled the stomach. The portions were tiny for dragons, barely a mouthful. But it was something. It was life. You are wasting your supplies on us, Kesrith said. Sarah was adjusting his thermal blanket. Not a waste. You need them. You need them more. You are smaller. You will run out. I will manage. She moved to check the shield generator. The power reading was dropping. She frowned but said nothing. Valtor watched her. Where did you learn medicine, human? Earth, then Mars Medical Academy. Then I volunteered for frontier stations. She was working on the distress beacon now, trying to repair it with spare parts from her pack. Why frontier stations? Kesrith asked. Why not stay somewhere safe? Her hands paused for just a moment. Because safe places do not need doctors as much. There was a story there. Kesrith could hear it in her voice. You have lost someone. Sarah's hands started moving again, faster. My brother. Mining accident on Titan. He was trapped in a collapsed tunnel. The rescue team said it was too dangerous to keep trying. They gave up. Her voice was flat. Empty. He died alone in the dark while people who could have saved him walked away. I am sorry, Valtor said softly. I became a doctor after that, specialized in emergency medicine and extreme environment rescue. She was still working on the beacon, not looking at them. I promised myself I would never be the person who walks away. Never be the person who says there is nothing we can do. There is always something. Kesrith understood now. This was not just about helping strangers. This was about a promise. A vow made in grief and kept with iron will. Your commander, he said. He ordered you to wait for a rescue team, did he not? Sarah looked up, surprised. How did you know? Because that is what a smart commander would do. Sending one person into a Category 5 ice storm is suicide, she shrugged. I am not very good at following orders when they are stupid orders. You will be punished. Probably. She did not sound worried. Worth it, though. Hours passed. Sarah kept working. She was starting to slow down. Her movements were not as quick. Her hands shook slightly. She was getting tired. The shield generator beeped. A warning sound. Power at 15%, Sarah announced. She said it calmly like it was not a death sentence. Shut it down, Kesrith said. Save yourself. Use the power to get back to your base. No. Human, be reasonable. We are dying anyway. You can still survive. Sarah stood up. Even tired, even scared, her voice was firm. I said no. We all get out of this or none of us do. That is foolish. Yes, she agreed. Humans are often foolish. We are also stubborn. Really, really stubborn. She went back to the beacon. Kesrith watched her work. This small creature who should have been dead 3 times over. Still fighting. Still trying. Tell me about dragons, Sarah said suddenly. I have read about your species but never met one before today. Valtor made a sound like a laugh. You choose now to make conversation? Helps pass the time. Keeps us focused. She was connecting wires inside the beacon. So? Tell me. Valtor thought for a moment. We are an old species, very old. We have ruled our empire for 10,000 years. We are strong. We are warriors, I can see that. You survived 3 days in this cold. Most species would be dead in 3 hours. We have internal fusion cores. They keep us warm, give us strength. The cores are biological? That is amazing. Sarah sounded genuinely interested. How does that even work? They talked. It was strange. Here they were, dying on an ice planet, and they were having a casual conversation. But it helped. It made the fear smaller, made the cold less terrible. Sarah told them about Earth, oceans and forests and cities that reached the sky. She told them about human history, wars and peace, art and science, failure and triumph. Humans sound chaotic, Kesrith observed. We are, Sarah admitted, very chaotic. We disagree about everything. We fight with each other constantly. But when things get really bad, when someone needs help, we usually figure it out. Usually, we are not perfect. We make mistakes. Sometimes we fail. She finished with the beacon and closed the panel. But we keep trying. That is the human way. Try, fail, try again. Keep going until something works. The beacon beeped. Then it started blinking. Green light, there. Sarah's voice was full of triumph. I got it working. The beacon was transmitting. Somewhere out there, someone would hear it. Help was coming. Sarah checked her device. Signal is strong. Both dragon and human frequencies. Someone will pick this up. How long until rescue? Valtor asked. In this storm? 12 hours. Maybe more. She looked at the shield generator. We have about 4 hours of power left. The math was simple. They would not make it. Sarah sat down. She was thinking. Kesrith could see it on her face. She was planning something. Human, what are you doing? Sarah stood up. She went to her suit controls. Started adjusting settings. Sarah? Valtor's voice was concerned. The shield generator needs more power, she said. Her voice was calm, matter of fact. My suit has power. Not much, but some. Kesrith realized what she was planning. No, absolutely not. It is the only way. Your suit keeps you warm. Without it, you will freeze. The thermal blankets will keep you alive long enough for rescue. But only if the shield stays up. Only if you stay warm enough. She was already disconnecting power cells from her suit. We forbid this, Kesrith said. We are warriors. We do not let others die for us. Sarah looked at him. Her eyes were hard, determined. Too bad, my planet. My rules. She connected her suit's power to the shield generator. The generator hummed. Power reading jumped to 40%. Sarah's suit display started flashing red warnings. Temperature control offline. Life support minimal. She ignored them all. There, she said. That should give us enough time. She sat down between them. Already she was starting to shiver. You are insane, Valtor said. But his voice was soft. Almost gentle. Probably, Sarah agreed. Her teeth were starting to chatter. But I am an insane human who just saved 2 dragons. I will take that as a win. Kesrith felt something he had not felt in centuries. Helplessness. This tiny human was dying to save them. And there was nothing he could do. Why? He asked again. Why sacrifice yourself for us? Sarah's shivering was getting worse. She pulled her knees to her chest, trying to conserve heat, because someone has to give a damn. Might as well be me. Her eyes were closing. The cold was taking her fast. Too fast? No, Kesrith said. No, you do not get to die. Not after all this. He pulled at his thermal blanket. With great effort, he draped part of it over Sarah. What are you doing? She mumbled. Being stubborn, Kesrith said. You said humans are stubborn. Well, dragons are more stubborn. Valtor did the same with his blanket. They wrapped the small human between them. Sharing what little warmth they had, it was not much. But it was something. It was hope. The storm outside reached its peak. Category 5. The worst kind of ice hurricane that Vorath 9 could produce. Wind speeds over 300 kilometers per hour. Temperature dropped to minus 160 degrees. The storm could tear apart buildings. Could freeze metal until it shattered. Inside the shield bubble, 3 beings huddled together. 2 massive dragons and 1 small human. All of them cold. All of them tired. All of them fighting to stay alive. Sarah had stopped shivering. That was a bad sign. When the body stopped shivering, it meant hypothermia was advanced. It meant the body was giving up. Stay awake, human, Kesrith said. He nudged her with his snout. You must stay awake. Trying, Sarah whispered. Her voice was so quiet. So tired. Talk to us, Valtor urged. Tell us more about humans at what? What do you want to know? Anything, everything, just keep talking. Sarah's eyes fluttered. Okay. She took a breath. Did you know humans used to live in caves? Long time ago? Before cities. Before technology. Just caves and fire. Fire? Kesrith was interested despite everything. We cannot make fire inside us. Like you, but we learned to make it outside. To carry it. To use it. Her words were slow. Each one was an effort. Fire kept us warm. Cooked our food. Scared away predators. Clever, Valtor said. Using tools to make up for weakness. That is what humans do. We are weak. Compared to most species, no claws, no scales. No venom, no natural weapons. Just soft skin and big brains. She smiled a little. And stubbornness. Lots of stubbornness. The shield flickered. Power was draining faster now. The cold was seeping in. Kesserith tried to move closer to Sarah. To share more warmth. His body was still weak, but his core was working better now. Thanks to whatever Sarah had done. He could feel heat in his chest. Not much, but some. I have a question, he said. If humans are so weak, how did you become a spacefaring species? Sarah's eyes opened a bit more. We work together. One human is weak. But many humans, together, we can do anything. The power of cooperation, Valtor said thoughtfully. We dragons understand this in battle. But not like you describe. Humans. We need each other. To survive. To thrive. Sarah's breathing was shallow. We build things together. Create things. We carry each other when we fall, she coughed. It was a weak sound. Tell us a story, Kesrith said quickly, trying to keep her talking. A human story. A story? Sarah thought for a moment. Okay. There is an old saying on Earth, no man left behind. What does it mean? It means when someone falls, you go back for them. Always. No matter the cost. No matter the danger. Her words were getting slower. Soldiers say it. But really it is for everyone. No one left behind. No one dies alone if we can help it. Kesserith understood now. Truly understood. This was not just Sarah's personal code. This was human nature. The thing that made them special. In my 3,000 years, he said quietly, no one has ever come back for me. No one has risked their life for mine. I am a warrior. Warriors die. It is expected. That is sad, Sarah said. Everyone deserves someone who will come back for them. You came back for us. For strangers, you are not strangers anymore. She smiled. Now you are friends I had a really bad day with. Valtor made a sound. It might have been a laugh. It might have been a sob. You are a strange creature, Sarah Chen. I will take that as a compliment. The hours crawled by. The storm raged on. The shield held, but barely. Power dropped to 20%, then 15, then 10. Sarah's eyes kept closing. Each time it took longer to open them again. Sarah, Kesrith said urgently. Stay with us. Still here, she mumbled. Just resting my eyes. No resting. Tell us more. Tell us about your family. Family. Her voice was dreamy now. Lost. Mom is a teacher. Dad is an engineer. They live on Mars in the domed cities. They wanted me to stay there. Be safe. But you did not. No. I went to the frontier, where I was needed. She was fading. They worry about me. I call them when I can. Tell them I'm fine. You are not fine right now, Valtor pointed out gently. Sarah laughed. It was barely a sound. No, not fine. But I am not alone. That counts for something. Kessereth felt his hearts break. This small, brave, foolish creature. She was dying, and it was because she saved them. She could have stayed safe, could have waited for the rescue team, could have let them die, but she did not. That was not the human way. If I had known, he said, that one human would change everything I believe about courage and honor, I would not have believed it. Surprise? Sarah whispered. The shield generator beeped. 5% power. Critical levels, they were out of time. Kessereth made a decision. His core was working now. Not fully, but better. He could use that. He focused his will, pushed energy out through his body. Heat radiated from his scales. What are you doing? Valtor asked, keeping her alive. Kessereth gritted his teeth. It hurt, his core was still damaged. Pushing it like this was dangerous. But he did not care. Valtor understood. He did the same. Both dragons focused their internal heat outward, warming the space around them. Warming the human between them, Sarah stirred. You should not. You will hurt yourselves. Too bad, Kessereth said, echoing her earlier words. Our planet. Our rules. This is not your planet, Sarah said weakly. It is now. We claim it. All of it, he managed to smile. Dragon law. That is not how laws work. We do not care. The shield generator gave a final beep. Power at 1%. The shield wavered, started to fail. Then, through the storm, lights appeared. Bright, multiple sources, ships, coming in fast. The cavalry had arrived. Relief flooded through Kessereth. They had made it, barely, but they had made it. Sarah had stopped talking. Her eyes were closed, but she was breathing. Shallow breaths, but steady. Hold on, human, Valtor said. Just a little longer. The ships landed. Ramps dropped. Forms ran through the storm. Dragon medics in heavy armor, human rescue workers in powered suits. They swarmed the wreckage. A human medic reached Sarah first. Scanned her. Critical hypothermia. Get her to the ship now. They lifted her carefully. She did not wake. Dragon medics came to Kessereth and Valtor. Professional, efficient. They stabilized them. Prepared them for transport, the human. Kessereth said. Is she? Alive, the medic said. Barely. But alive. A human in an official uniform came over. He looked angry. Dr. Chen directly disobeyed orders. Came out here alone. This was completely unauthorized. She saved us, Kessereth said. His voice was hard. Show respect. The official looked surprised. Then uncomfortable. Of course. We are glad she succeeded. She did more than succeed, Valtor said. She did the impossible. They were loaded onto the dragon medical ship. Sarah was taken to the human ship. Kessereth wanted to protest. Wanted to stay with her. But the medics were firm. They needed proper treatment. Proper facilities. As the ships lifted off, Kessereth looked down at the wreckage. The place where he almost died. The place where a small human proved that size and strength were not what mattered most. What mattered was heart. And humans, he had learned, had the biggest hearts in the galaxy. The medical ship was warm, painfully warm after the ice of Vorath 9. Kessereth lay on a large medical platform while doctors worked on him. His wing was being set properly. His leg was in a regeneration field. His core was being carefully monitored and boosted with medical equipment. Valtor was on the next platform. His back injury was serious. The doctors said he would recover, but it would take time. Dragon healing was powerful, but even dragons needed time to mend broken spines. How is the human? Kessereth asked every doctor who came near. They all gave the same answer. She is alive. The human medical team is taking care of her. It was not enough. He wanted to see her. Wanted to know she was truly all right. But dragon and human medical facilities were separate. Different biology needed different treatment. 3 days passed. Kessereth grew stronger. His core was back to 70% function. His wing was healing. His leg could bear weight now. The doctors were pleased with his progress. On the 4th day, a new dragon entered the medical bay. She was old, very old. Her scales were pale silver. Her eyes were sharp. She wore the robes of the High Council. Every dragon in the room bowed, except Kessereth and Valtor. They could not move much yet. Counselor Rax, Kessereth said respectfully. This is unexpected. The counselor came to his platform. looked him over with those sharp eyes. So, you are the warrior who was saved by a human. We both were, Valtor said from his platform. Interesting. She pulled up a chair, sat down. Tell me what happened. They told her everything. The crash, the cold, the human appearing in the storm, her dedication, her sacrifice, all of it. Counselor Rax listened without interrupting. When they finished, she was quiet for a long time. The Draconis Empire is concerned, she finally said. About what? Kesrith was confused. About why a human helped you. She folded her clawed hands. We do not understand the motivation. Humans and dragons are not allies. We have trade agreements, yes. We are neutral. But we are not friends. She is a doctor, Valtor explained. She helps anyone who needs it. No one helps without expecting something in return, the counselor said firmly. What does she want? What is the human government planning? Kesarith felt anger rise in his chest. She wanted nothing. She expected nothing. She helped because it was the right thing to do. Warriors do not act this way. Species do not act this way. There must be a reason. The reason is that she is human, Kesarith said. And humans are different from us. The counselor stood. The High Council has called a tribunal. The human doctor will answer questions. You will both testify. A tribunal? Valtor sounded shocked. For saving our lives? For interfering with imperial affairs without authorization? The counselor's voice was cold. The council demands answers. She left. The medical bay was silent. This is wrong, Kesrith said. Sarah should be honored, not questioned. The council is afraid, Valtor said quietly. Afraid of what it means. That a human would do what no dragon would do. The tribunal was held a week later. It was conducted by hologram. The High Council sat on their thrones in the capital world. Kesrith and Valtor were transmitted from the medical ship. Sarah appeared from the human station on Vorath 9. She looked tired, thinner, but alive. Kesrith felt relief flood through him at the sight. The head counselor spoke. His name was Morthak. He was ancient and powerful. Dr. Sarah Chen of Earth. You have interfered in imperial affairs. Explain yourself. Sarah stood straight. Her voice was steady. I detected a crash. I responded. That is my job. You were ordered to wait for a rescue team. I was. I ignored the order. Why? Because waiting would have meant death for two beings who could be saved. I could not allow that. Morthak leaned forward. You risked your life for strangers. For aliens who are not your allies. Why? Sarah took a breath. Because they were dying. Because I am a doctor. The math is pretty simple. You expect us to believe you wanted nothing in return? I expected to save two lives. That is what I got. That is enough. Humans do not act without self-interest. No species does. Sarah's eyes flashed. Kesrith saw anger there. Controlled anger. You are right. I did have self-interest. I wanted to go to sleep knowing I did everything I could. I wanted to look at myself in the mirror without feeling ashamed. That was my self-interest, the council murmured among themselves. Counselors, Kesrith spoke up. Permission to testify. Granted. Dr. Chen walked 40 kilometers through an ice storm. She worked for 18 hours straight to save us. She gave us her food, her water, her warmth. She repaired our distress beacon. She powered the shield with her own suit's energy, knowing it would kill her. His voice grew louder. She sacrificed everything for strangers. And now you question her motives? You should be giving her medals, not suspicion. Valtor spoke next. In 3,000 years, I have never witnessed such courage. Such compassion. The doctor asked for nothing. Expected nothing. She helped because it was right. If that is what humans are, then we have greatly underestimated them. The council was silent, considering. Then another hologram appeared, larger than the others, brighter, everyone bowed. Even the counselors. It was the Empress herself, Shirath the Eternal, ruler of the Draconis Empire for 5,000 years. She was massive. Her scales were deep crimson. Her eyes glowed with inner fire. When she spoke, her voice filled the chamber. Dr. Sarah Chen. Sarah did not bow. Humans did not bow to foreign rulers, but she stood respectfully. Your Majesty, I have heard the testimony. I have reviewed the data. I have one question for you. Yes, Your Majesty. Why do humans help those who cannot repay them? Sarah thought about it. When she spoke, her voice was clear. Honest. Because someday we might be the ones who need help. We might be the ones dying on an ice planet, and when that day comes, we hope someone will do the same for us. We hope someone will care. That is civilization, Your Majesty. Not technology, not weapons, not empires. Civilization is caring about others. All others, even strangers. The Empress was silent. The entire tribunal held its breath, and she spoke. We have been wrong about your species, Dr. Chen. Your Majesty, we judged you by your size, your lack of natural weapons, your short lives. We saw weakness. The Empress's eyes glowed brighter. We did not see your strength. The strength to care, the strength to sacrifice, the strength to hope. She turned to the council. This tribunal is ended. Dr. Chen is cleared of all charges. Furthermore, she is to be granted the Star of Honor, the highest civilian award we can give. Gasps from the counselors. But Your Majesty, Morthak protested, the Star of Honor has never been given to a non-dragon. Then it is time we change that tradition. The Empress looked at Sarah again. You saved 2 of my warriors. You showed us what we had forgotten. That honor is not about strength. It is about character. Sarah looked stunned. Your Majesty, I do not need awards. I was just doing my job. Your job, the Empress said softly, is what others call heroism. The hologram faded. The tribunal was over. Kessereth felt something warm in his chest. Not his core, something else. Pride. Not for himself, but for the small human who had saved him. Sarah's hologram turned to him and Valtor. She smiled. A real smile. Tired but genuine. How are you 2 doing? She asked. Alive, Kessereth said. Thanks to you? Good. That was the plan. We owe you a debt, Valtor said seriously. A life debt, Sarah shook her head. You do not owe me anything. In dragon culture, we do. A life debt must be repaid. Then repay it by living well, by being happy. That is all I want. The connection ended. Sarah's image faded. Kessereth lay back on his platform, thought about everything that had happened, about the small human who changed everything. She is right, you know, Valtor said quietly. About what? That is what civilization is. Caring about others. We dragons have forgotten that. Kessereth nodded slowly. Perhaps it is time we remembered. 3 months had passed since the ice storm, since the rescue, since everything changed. Sarah was back at her research station on Vorath 9, the small human outpost that studied weather patterns and ice formations. It was quiet work, peaceful work. She liked it that way. She was in her lab looking at data from the latest storm system when the alarms went off. Not emergency alarms, arrival alarms. Someone was landing at the station. Sarah went to the window. Her eyes widened. A dragon ship. A big one. With military markings and honor banners. Her station commander rushed in looking panicked. Dr. Chen, there are dragons landing. Do you know anything about this? No idea, Sarah said honestly. They went to the landing bay together. The dragon ship settled onto the platform with barely a sound. The ramp lowered. 2 dragons emerged. Sarah recognized them immediately. Kessereth and Valtor. They looked completely different from the broken, dying creatures she had found in the ice. Their scales gleamed. Their wings were whole. They moved with power and grace. Behind them came an honor guard. 6 dragons in ceremonial armor. Sarah walked forward, smiled. You 2 look a lot better than the last time I saw you. Kessereth laughed. It was a deep, warm sound. We feel better too. Valtor bowed his head. It was a gesture of deep respect. Dr. Chen, we have come to fulfill our oath. What oath? The Ashkareth, Kessereth said. The life debt bond. We pledged ourselves to you. For the rest of your natural life, we are your sworn protectors. Sarah blinked. I am sorry, what? It is an ancient dragon tradition, Valtor explained. When someone saves your life at risk of their own, you owe them everything. We are bound to you now. Honor demands it, but I do not need protectors. I am just a doctor on a research station. Then we will protect a doctor on a research station, Kessereth said simply. We go where you go. We stand where you stand. Sarah looked at her commander. He looked completely lost. This was way above his pay grade. Can you do that? Sarah asked the dragons. Just leave the military? We took a leave of absence, Valtor said. Our commanders understood. The Empress herself approved. The Empress knows about this? The Empress, Kessereth said with a slight smile, told us to go. She said humans and dragons should learn from each other. She said you would teach us about compassion, and we might teach you about strength. Sarah sat down on a nearby crate. This was too much. I do not know what to say. Say yes, Valtor said gently. Let us repay the debt. Let us be friends. Friends. The word hung in the air. Sarah looked at them. Really looked at them. Two ancient warriors who had seen empires rise and fall, who had fought in countless battles, who could probably break her with one claw, and they were asking to be her friends. Okay, she said. Okay, yes, but I have conditions. Name them, Kessereth said. 1. You do not interfere with my work. 2. You follow station rules. 3. You cannot eat the other researchers. Valtor looked offended. We do not eat sentient species. Just checking. Sarah stood up. Welcome to Research Station Gamma. It is cold, boring, and the food is terrible. You are going to hate it. We have been colder, Kessereth pointed out. The next weeks were strange. Dragons at a human research station. It should not have worked. But somehow it did. Kessereth and Valtor were curious about everything. They watched Sarah work, asked questions about her research, learned about ice formation and storm patterns and atmospheric pressure. Sarah learned about dragons, their history, their culture, their way of seeing the universe. They were so different from humans. Dragons valued strength and honor above all. They believed in hierarchy, in tradition, in the old ways, but they were also capable of change, capable of learning. One day, Sarah was giving them a tour of the station, showing them the labs, the living quarters, the observation deck. This is where I spend most of my free time, she said, leading them to the observation deck. It had a huge window looking out over the ice plains. They stood together, watching the eternal storms. It is beautiful, Valtor said, in a harsh way. That is Vorath 9, Sarah agreed. Harsh but beautiful. Kessereth was quiet, thoughtful. I have been thinking about what you said. At the tribunal, what part? About civilization. About caring for others, he looked at her. Dragons have been strong for so long. We forgot how to be kind. You are not unkind, Sarah said. Just focused on different things. We let you nearly die to save us. We questioned your motives. We did not trust simple goodness. His voice was sad. We have become cynical, hard. You can change, Sarah said. People can always change. Can we? We are thousands of years old, set in our ways. I have met humans who are 50 and refuse to change, and I have met humans who are 90 and completely reinvent themselves. Sarah smiled. Age is not the problem. Willingness is. Valtor joined the conversation. The Empress has started reforms. Based on what happened, based on you, reforms, new policies, about helping other species, about cooperation, about building alliances instead of just trade agreements. He looked pleased. There is even talk of a joint human-dragon medical program, training doctors from both species. Sarah felt warmth in her chest. That is wonderful. It is because of you, Kessereth said. One human changed the entire Draconis Empire. I did not change anything. I just did my job. That is what you always say. Valtor shook his head, amused. You saved 2 dying dragons, stood before the High Council, earned the respect of the Empress, changed imperial policy. But sure, just doing your job, Sarah laughed. When you put it that way, it sounds impressive. It is impressive, Kessereth said seriously. You are impressive. They stood in silence, comfortable silence, friends watching the storm together. You know, Sarah said after a while, I need to go to the Meridian Conference next month, present my research on ice storms. We will accompany you, Kessereth said immediately. It is really boring. Just scientists talking about weather. We do not care. We go where you go. Very well. But you are carrying my luggage. Both dragons laughed. Later that night, Sarah sat in her quarters writing in her journal. It was an old habit. She wrote about her day, her thoughts, her feelings. She wrote about Kessereth and Valtor, about how strange it was to have dragon bodyguards, about how they had become real friends. She wrote about the changes happening, dragons and humans working together, learning from each other. She thought about her brother, about the promise she made after he died, to never give up on anyone, to always try. She had kept that promise, and it had changed everything. A knock on her door. She opened it. Valtor was there. Am I interrupting? He asked. No, come in, he entered carefully. Dragons were big. Human quarters were small. He settled on the floor. I wanted to thank you, he said. Properly. Without the council watching, without formality. You do not need to thank me. Yes, I do. His eyes were serious. You gave me more than life. You gave me perspective. For 3,000 years, I thought strength was everything. I thought warriors were the most important. I thought caring was weakness. And now? Now I know better. Caring is the hardest thing. Caring is the bravest thing. He bowed his head. You are stronger than any warrior I have ever known, Sarah Chen. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. Thank you, Valtor. That means a lot. We will protect you, always. But more than that, we will learn from you. We will try to be better. To be worthy of the friendship you have given us, he left. Sarah wiped her eyes, smiled. 2 dragons and 1 human. The strangest friendship in the galaxy, but also the truest. She went to the window, looked out at the ice and snow, the place where she almost died, the place where everything changed. She thought about what Valtor said, about strength. Humans were not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the toughest, but they had something else, something that mattered more. They had the strength to care, even when it was hard, even when it hurt, even when it seemed pointless. They carried each other. They saved each other. They refused to give up on each other. That was the human way. And maybe, just maybe, it could become the galactic way. One frozen planet at a time. One life saved at a time. One friendship at a time. Sarah smiled at the snow. Still the worst planet she had ever been on. But it had given her 2 dragons. 2 friends. 2 lives bound together by ice and courage and stubborn compassion. That was worth everything. Outside, the storms continued. Inside, warmth remained, and in the cold darkness of space, other species watched. Watched as humans and dragons built something new, something better. A civilization based not on strength but on kindness. Not on power but on hope. Not on domination, but on friendship. It was a small beginning. Just 2 dragons and 1 human on a nice planet. But all great things started small. And this, Sarah knew, was the beginning of something truly great. The galaxy was changing, and it started with a doctor who refused to walk, away from 2 dying strangers in the snow. That was humanity, that was hope, that was the future.